Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Corinne, we have Lina here with us. She does astrology readings and tarot readings. She's also does some curandera work, which is kind of like healing, a healer, right?
Yeah.
And Happy New Year to you guys. I know we've been gone for quite a little bit. I think like maybe 3 weeks, Corinne, 4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Because of the holidays, but we're so glad to be back here and to have Lina with us on the podcast. Corinne, how are you doing? How was your New Year's? How was your Christmas?
I'm doing good. Everything was great. I got to go up north, and I know we didn't get to see each other, but I was able to visit with my family and see my loved ones, which was great. And, it's a lot of driving, but it's always worth it. So, and New Year's was great, just bringing it in here in the desert. And, I'm just glad to be here and be with you wonderful ladies and have this podcast that we're starting, at the later part of last year and bringing into the new year. And it's just been wonderful to do with you, Gabby. And now we're being able to interview other women on here and bring them to light and let them share their stories and how they came about and everything. So we're so excited to have Lina here with us today. And we're looking forward to hearing more about you and how you've come about.
Oh, it's been a hell of a journey. Okay, it's been a hell of a long road, but definitely wouldn't change a thing at all. Just really quickly, so where do you live right now? I heard desert. Where do you live?
Yeah. Oh yeah, so I'm in Palm Springs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And where are you?
Summertime. Well, San Francisco. So yeah.
Yeah. I grew up in Sonoma County, so in Petaluma.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
where
And we know each other through her best friend is actually my first cousin. So pretty much grew up with each other. I've known her before I had kids, since before I was married or anything. We've
Oh
known
my
each other
gosh.
for a long time. And I'm currently right now in North Carolina.
Oh my God. Are you? Wow.
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina. But yeah, we tend to see each other on the holidays and we saw each other for Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, we saw each other for Thanksgiving. We go way back, but she's in Palm Springs now. That's where that's where her home is. That's where she feels the most aligned. So that's where she is, and I think it's awesome.
Wow. Well, good for you. Living your truth and just going out there. Oh my God. Palm Springs
All
is
by
great for the.
herself. All by herself. She knew nobody over there. I mean, she really just went for it. I think that's awesome.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Kudos to you. Oh my, the bravery. I haven't left my house in like 8 years.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Should I just like
Yeah, so
get
just
started
start.
on my
So this is Lina, and
Okay.
like I said, she does astrology, she does tarot readings. I met Lina, I believe it was at Mystic Flora store in San Mateo, and I went there for they had an event. I believe it was like a women's circle or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
For
remember
grief.
going to that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I came back and I think I told Corinne, oh my gosh. I remember I told you, Lina, that I was going all the way to Sebastopol to like go to these circles, go to these like try to find women and like-minded women, So I would go all the way to Sebastopol because they always had like full moon circles there. They had
Oh my
women's
God.
circles
And
there.
and for reference, how far is Sebastopol, Gabby, so people know? Like,
Yeah,
let them know.
Sebastopol is about 2 hours away from where I live. So I would drive all the way over there on the weekends just to get my fix. So when I discovered Mystic Flora, I actually just went to a full moon circle and somebody said, oh, we're doing it at Mystic Flora. And then I looked up Mystic Flora and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is in San Mateo. What am I doing going all the way to Sebastopol? So I remember coming back and telling Corinne and telling my cousin, like, I was just super excited about finding other people who I felt a connection with, who I felt were aligned, who I felt were just like amazing people, who just wanted to share everything they knew and they had learned and their gifts with the world, which is so aligned with me, right? Because that's what I want to do. I want to share everything I learn. I get very excited and I just want to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
So I was so excited to meet you guys, to meet you, to meet Nicole, to meet Isla. I mean, just so many wonderful women there. And I remember coming back and telling Corinne, we have to interview these women. We have to get them on the podcast. They need to share their message to the collective. They need to bring awareness about all these things that just really in astrology and human design. Corinne does human design.
Ooh.
Really just helps really kind of help you put the puzzles together in your life. It helps with relationships. It helps with learning how to run your business. This really gets deep into learning more about yourself. So I'm just fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by everything you've taught me, Lina, everything you told me about myself. So I just thought this is the perfect time and experience and opportunity to bring you onto the podcast. So we would love to hear your story. We would love to hear how this started. We would love to hear whatever it is that you were open and willing to share with the collective.
Yeah, well, thank you for that introduction. Damn. Okay, that was a hell of an introduction. Thank you so much. I feel so much love right now. My projector, energy is like, oh, it's like a warm hug. With astrology, okay, so it sounds kind of funny, but it's always interesting, like looking into like the butterfly effect, right? Just kind of reflecting back on my life and just seeing how all these little tiny things kind of added up to be where I'm at now. When I was a kid, I grew up I grew up kind of poor. I grew up kind of in an abusive family, more neglectful more than anything. And kind of just learning my place in the world and who I was and where I was in my family. And it's always been kind of a confusing relationship with my family just because, I love them dearly. And it became kind of, how do I get them to love me? Right. And I was always into like astrology, reading like the daily newspaper, like what is Virgo today? Because I'm a Virgo, and just like little things like that. And, I was a rebellious teenager. So like I got a big fat Virgo tattoo when I was like 15 years old from someone's garage. Like, hell yeah, I love this stuff. So goofy.
That's your projective.
Yeah. Oh my God. And so that's kind of where it began, just like little things like that. And then it was funny. So I was actually working at Whole Foods. I think this was like maybe 2010, working at Whole Foods. And a woman went up to me, and then, she worked with me at Whole Foods, and she's like, hey, like, what's your rising? Like, what are you? She's like, I can't figure you out. And I was just like, I don't know what that means. She's like, oh, like your birth chart. And I was like, girl, you're speaking another language. And then she's like, okay, you know what? Go home, tell me your place you were born at, time, and I want to like come over and we're going to talk about it. And I was like, sure, whatever. And at the time I think I was like 17, 18 years old. And, and then I remember we just like delve into what it was. She's like, oh my God, you're this, you're that. And we were just talking about it. She's like, and, just similar to like what I did with you, Gabby, where she like saw my birth chart. She's like, wait, how do you deal with this? Like, what about this? And I was like, oh my God, there's something that explains like why I am the way I am. And then she started going into like all the things that that I needed. She's like, wow, so you're a Virgo with a Cancer moon. So like, what do you do with all your feelings? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just kind of, And then she's like, do you cry a lot? And I was like, it's interesting because when I was a kid, I used to be really angry and like super just violent and just like this whirlwind of feelings. And I didn't know what to do with them. Right. And it's just funny because like she just kind of put everything to perspective. And I have a Libra Mars, and Mars placements is kind of like it's the placement of passion, right? In anger or in sex, or just like how you go about putting your energy. And being that I have a Libra Mars, if it's not in balance, it's like either I'm all the way depressed and sad or like all the way angry. So being that I didn't know how to control my emotions, I was just like everywhere, super sporadic. And then I have a Pisces rising, and it's just a lot of feelings. And once you kind of like expose that to me, and it's funny because I don't remember her name, but I remember her face. I remember everything about her. And once she like told me about this, I just like went down this huge rabbit hole and just looked up everyone in my life, my parents, my mom, my dad, my best friends, like everyone's birth chart. And I just kind of like started picking up all this information, learning what conjunctions are, learning what sextile means, like learning what's a square, what does that mean, like, and what are the houses like. And even to this day, like over the last like 15 years reading birth charts, there's still so many things that I'm learning and so many different aspects. And I guess I want to say like my favorite part now, because I would do birth charts all the time for free, like all the time. Just I would be at a birthday party, be like, let me look yours up, and like go into it. And now my biggest thing that I love to do, and the reason I love to offer it, is just kind of being able to have some introspection as far as like different things within yourself, the different battles within yourself that you have, and like just kind of shedding light on them and figuring out how to better maneuver them and how to utilize them in your life, in your business, in, you know, romantically, platonically. And that's just been like my favorite thing now, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know why I'm like this, or, you know, I don't know why, you know. And I'm like, well, duh, you have a Leo Mars, you know, of course you want all the attention on you, of course you're gonna be a little spicy. She's like, yeah, but you know, I'm also an Aquarius moon. And I'm like, yeah, and that's your like aloof detachedness, but you still want a little bit of attention. And it's interesting because it's like a language to me. It's, you know, people like to think of it like, oh, that stuff's not real. And I always tell people it's not something that's real or not. It's a language. You know, if you don't understand, you know, someone speaking another language, it doesn't mean that it's not real. You just don't understand what the language. That's all it is. Yeah.
I think that when you read me my birth chart, I was fascinating to almost like you validated so much that because we have this, I don't know about you guys, but I have this weird thing where like I know who I am and I know what I feel and I know what I want and I know what I'm capable of. But when somebody reads you your human design or reads you your birth chart and they validate everything that you've already been through, or they validate everything you're currently feeling and everything you're wanting, and it's like in there in this chart without the other person really knowing who you are, you're just like, oh my gosh, like you get this feeling inside of you that you're like, fuck, like I was right, you know, it was right. Like how, and it just blows my mind, right? To see that like the planets and the moons and the, you know, your horoscope, all these things like align together to create who you are. If you think about it, it's just so amazing. You know? And that's the part of this that just fascinates me, that I'm like, wow, it's just crazy. So it's not like you said, a lot of people think it's not real, but how can it not be real? Like, how is it possible? And like, who said it's not real? And how do they know that it's not real? Right? Like, I'm in this stage in my life where I'm like, anything is possible. I'm not doubting anything. The last year has been a year of just so many changes, and like the blindfold coming off in regards to programming and conditioning, you know, and the way I was raised and what I was meant to believe, that now I'm just like, yeah, you know, I want to get to the bottom of this. And that's what astrology and human design has done for me, has allowed me to get to the bottom of who I am and really dissect it. And it's just amazing how on point it is.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people, you know, they don't believe in it. They think it's super generalized, and I always like to tell people like you know, it gives you perspective on like every aspect of your life, who you are romantically, who you are in relationships, who are you in the work, you know, in a workplace, who do you want yourself to be seen as, who do you see yourself at, who are you emotionally. It gives you so much perspective in who you are, and I think it's like, so it's funny, I'm reminded of like one of my male clients. My male client, who was like a Latin guy, was not into this stuff at all. Like, he's like, I just want a tarot reading. And I was like, okay, well, when I do your tarot, like I need to know, you know, I want to know your moon, and I want to know your Mars, and I want to know your sun sign. He's like, I don't know what that even means. Like, and I was like, okay. So I was like, give me some information. And so he got back to me, and I ended up reading his whole chart, because you know, you dive in. Once you start reading a chart, you just kind of go in. And I was just like, look, I know you don't believe in this stuff, but I want to just like tell you a little bit about yourself and tell me what you think. And I remember he was just like mind blown. And he was just like, how do you know all this stuff about me? Like, how do you know? Because it even tells you like your past life or what you want in relationships. It tells you things as far as like stomach issues. Like, depending on where your Jupiter is, your bodily functions will tell you. Like, if you're a Virgo, if you have any Virgo placements, you're gonna have anxiety in your stomach, and you're gonna have a sensitive tummy, you know, things like that. And it's funny because there's so much stuff you can discover about yourself in a birth chart. And even like a lot of people don't realize how like much of like the 12 months, 12 signs, 12 disciples, you know, if you're into like religion and stuff like that, 12 signs, you know. People think like the full moon, they're like, everyone always says, oh, it's a full moon today, everyone's acting crazy. Like, do you even know where that comes from? That's from astrology, you know. And And I love like mind blowing people like that. Like, no, 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 it's not. Like, yeah, it is. No, no, no. And it's always fun to like kind of just pop people's bubbles. And like astrology is so much more into everyone's lives than people even know it is, you know?
Yeah, I love that too. That's how I am with human design when I do readings and I dig in and people are like, how do you know me? Like, how does this thing know me? Like, like it's just so crazy. Like, and I'm like, it's just, I love it. I love it as a tool and just as a way to even just get to know yourself better, and making sure that you're in alignment with really how you're supposed to be, just moving around and living. And like you said, it digs into so much, to how you're even supposed to be operating within your relationships, in your business. I mean, how to even present yourself on social media, I mean, it's just like the tool, and what it provides you to be able to do and expand yourself even more is, and it just makes sense. It's like, I don't understand when people don't believe in it,
And it really
Yeah.
helps. I feel like these things really help put things in perspective as far as like, for me, as far as like relationships go. Like I've learned that, so I'm the type of person that can take on a lot. Like I can do this, I can do that, and I can be going through stuff, whatever it is, at home or with myself, with my health. And I can be going through a lot and I will still pick up the phone if somebody calls me who is really close to me and needs me for something. I will still pick up the phone and be like, what do you need? How can I help you? And I've just learned, I would tend to get upset with one of my cousins, because she, like when she's going through something, she just totally like doesn't answer the phone, like has to isolate, has to be by herself, like cannot answer the phone, doesn't communicate with anybody. I'm talking about Corinne.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was talking to my coach, and I was like, so like I get really pissed off at my cousin because it's like when I need her, she's like, oh, I can't talk because I'm going through this stuff right now and I can't take on any more stuff. But when I'm going through stuff and she's going through something, I can always stop what I'm doing for myself to be there for her. And she really helped me put things in perspective by telling me, but you are different. You are a generator. And she is, I think, a manifester. She's like, so you can't always expect people to deal with things or react in ways just because you do. She's like, you have to see it. She's like, the best way to see it, because she's also a generator, my coach. She's like, the best way I see it, she said, is to think of that as a gift. You have a gift. You can
Yeah.
take on a lot of stuff. You can take on a lot of stuff and still stop and help other people on the way. That is a gift. She's like, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people, when they're going through something, like they're going through it and they cannot focus on anything else around it. And it was so eye-opening to realize that, just like Corinne has told me, you are a generator. You cannot run your business like a projector. And I'm a projector. I cannot run my business as a generator because she's like, I can do this much and then I can't do any more. She's like, where generators can go and go and go and go and go and go and go. She's like, so I cannot, she's like, if I'm taking a course on how to run my business, I cannot take a course on how to run my business from a generator because I cannot run my business as a generator. So just learning those things, and has really helped put things in perspective to me and understand that like, just because I'm this way doesn't mean that other people are going to be the same way, and it really has helped to get to know my birth chart and get to know my human design to figure out, why I react, like you said before, like, why do you react this way? Or why does this bother you? Or, why do you go through this? And that has been extremely helpful in my life to learn how to navigate through things and deal with other people when I need their help.
Yeah,
Well,
I definitely.
oh, go ahead, Lina.
No, I'm just saying I totally agree with you. And I remember in your birth chart, you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, and Virgos are servers. They're self-sacrificing servers. They also get energy like that, and that's how they show their love, is by like serving and self-sacrificing. So like, and it sucks because you do want that in return. You're like, wait, why isn't everyone else like this? But
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. And like your coach said, like, girl, that's a gift. That's a gift that you can do that.
Right.
Whew.
Especially us as projectors, we have to be careful about our energy and how we take on other people's energy too. So it's definitely important to put those boundaries up, no matter who you are, right? We all need boundaries around who we can help and who we lend our energy to, right? But
Yeah.
I know, Gabby, you definitely take on a lot for sure. And I'm always like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Especially being a mama and everything. I'm like, girl, I give you props because I couldn't do it. I don't have the energy to.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, and it's another thing that I love. So like especially with human design, I feel like I've learned a lot about human design, but it's still such a like new canvas for me that it's just like I'm still picking at the things. And but one thing that I've been like really working on, I was actually just discussing this with my best friend yesterday about like integrating them both, because it's hard because but also this also is written in my birth chart, so it's not like I'm like, why is this so hard? It's like, oh, okay, I get it, because being a Virgo, I like being productive,
Mhm.
and I love doing things, I like being on the go. But I also have a cancer moon, so my cancer moon is like, no, be at home, let's be cuddly, let's like chill out. And I'm also a 2-4 projector, and my 2-4 projector is like, okay, yeah, we can be go go go, but we're gonna need to retract and go into hermit mode eventually.
Right. Yeah.
And so maneuver, and like that's something I really want to work on this year, because I have all this introspection and I know how my birth chart is, and I'm learning more about human design and integrating like, how can I do this in a healthy way where I'm not going into hermit mode when I'm completely burnt out and like dried up of everything, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're overextending yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
balance. It's really finding that balance, and that's something I've had to be. I mean, up until the pandemic, I used to run like a generator. I mean, that's how I lived my life. I was just on the go, always networking, always doing something, and it was just crazy. So when I was forced to sit down and then I got introduced to human design, I was like, oh yeah, I've been out of alignment with my energy my whole life. And it's just insane. But I feel once you learn these tools, yeah, and integrating them would be amazing, because I feel I take so much from both, and it's like incredible the things you can learn and just see and relate to, and the confirmations you get of why, especially for me, all the invites that I received my whole life, and I see why and how, and I've moved according to the invites. It's just mind blowing. It's like I've actually been moving this way my whole life, not realizing it, right? But it's
yeah,
just my design. But yeah, I think it's so helpful, no matter if you're into astrology or human design, and it's a self-discovery tool to help you just discover yourself on a deeper level,
yeah,
and it's all just great stuff. There's nothing, that's gonna be bad about it that comes from it. You're only gonna develop yourself
Right.
and get to know yourself even more, and I think more and more people are being more open to it. And we're in the collective, we're in the community, so we see this all the time, and we don't realize how many people out there don't know about this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
How many people don't really know there's even more to astrology. I mean, I'll ask people all the time, what is your rising? What is your moon? And they're like, huh? And I'm like,
huh?
there's more to it. Like, there's more to it. I understand you may not know human design, but come on, you really don't know your astrology?
And it
That's
really is crazy. I mean, I've gone to yoga classes, and this one of the girls was doing like EFT at the end, and I was the only one who knew what EFT was. Everybody else who was there was like, what was that thing you were doing with the tapping all over, and like, and I was just like blown away by like these women. There was like 20 of them. They didn't know what EFT was. And I went home thinking like, oh my gosh, I think I told you, Corinne, and I told Marissa, I was like, do you know that there's all these people that don't know what this stuff is? And my sister kind of opened my eyes. She's like, but it's because you're like, this is what you submerge yourself in. This
we're
all
consumed.
your Instagram is all about coaching, life coaching and self-help. She's like, so this is what you're always listening to, but there's a whole world out there that doesn't know, or doesn't, I mean, they don't know what about birth charts, they don't know about human design, they don't know about tarot readings and all this stuff. I just had somebody tell me, because remember, Corinne, Lina just did my tarot reading before coming to North Carolina,
I love
and
that.
I was talking about it, and somebody overheard me and told Hugo's my kid's dad, and he was like, "Oh, you're getting into like witchcraft stuff, I heard."
Oh my God.
I'm like, that is not witchcraft. Like, no wonder your podcast is called Brujas. He's like, because you're getting into like witchcraft stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not, and it's just like so much, there's so much ignorance out there when it comes to these tools, that we have for us. And really, even being a witch isn't bad. Like, of
Mhm.
course, there's just how there's bad people, there's good people, just how there's bad witches, there's good witches, like it's really what we've been taught, right? um but yeah, I mean, it's all of this stuff has been these tools have been really helpful in my life, and it's almost addicting. Like, I want to keep doing it,
So addicting. So addicting. I love it.
I want to
Like,
keep doing the tarot readings like once a month just to see what else comes up.
yeah, I think I know for myself, like I've read my birth chart like so many times. I've and I've used different modalities. Like I've done like cafe astrology, which is a classic one. I've done like this CoStar app. Like people have CoStar
One I
apps and
have.
don't know the intricacy of CoStar. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking to this one girl and she's like, "Oh, is it this?" And she sends me a screenshot. She's like, "I think this is what a birth chart is." And I was like, "Oh my God." Like, yes, that like little things like that. And a lot of like there's so many apps. I can't remember, there was another app and I can't remember what it was called, but it utilized birth charts without saying it utilized birth charts. I can't remember what it was called, but it asked for your time, the time you were born, the place you were born, your birthday, and you put him in it. And I can't remember what it was called. I actually used that and I was like, this is literally like, and it was talking about the moon phases and everything. And I was like, but it wouldn't say like the moon's in Virgo today. It wouldn't say it. I was like, this is literally like astrology. That's all this is. And they're like, no, 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 it's something else. I was like, no, it's 100% like
Right.
your birth chart right now. Like, and it's always it's yeah, and even like the bruja stuff, like as you're referring to, Gabby, like dude, if there's one thing I really love, like I love like kind of, I don't know, I love like pushing people's buttons, like, oh yeah, is it witchcraft, or
Yeah.
are you guys just colonized? Like, I
Right.
don't know, especially like Latin people. Like I'm Mexican, and a lot of people in my family and people like I've grown up with or people I've dated, like I love like when they're just like, they're just, like just all about, God and Jesus, and like, hey, if you have something you pray to, do your thing. I will never hate on you for anything you do. But when you come to hate on me and what I do, I'm like, you do realize that like we were like Native American at one point, like we were like indigenous. And they're like, yeah, yeah, but and I'm like, you do realize that they like forced us to not be into like providing for nature, believing in nature and like multiple gods and like praying to the universe. You do realize that. And they're like, oh no, no, no,
Their
that's not, no,
ancestors,
that's
right? Like they
like
worship their ancestors. They would do all these ceremonies to like,
yeah, all these things. And I'm just like, like you do realize that, right? Like that's, and it's I love like popping little people's bubbles, like boop, like, oh,
Yeah.
you thought like that's colonization, like
Yeah.
I love, like even like, it's Christmas. As I'm staring at my Christmas tree, like even like bringing a tree into your home, that's paganism, that's witchcraft. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God, Christians and Catholics and everybody, like, oh, I was like, oh my God, you guys thought that was your thing? Like, that's cute. Oh my God,
Right.
that's
Right.
from paganism. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and
they have
it's,
no idea. They really have no idea where it even stems from.
there's just so
yeah,
much ignorance.
it's it's really fun. I honestly find it so satisfying. I think it's really fun to like
And it all
just
stems from fear, right? It all stems from fear. The fear that, oh my gosh, this is where it comes from. This is bad. This is a sin. This is when you really like I mean, I remember feeling like that. I remember being like, oh my gosh, this person's a witch. Like, oh my gosh, that's scary. And I just have a total different outlook on all this stuff. I remember thinking that when somebody reads the cards to you too, that was bad. Like that was like witchcraft. And I just don't see it like that anymore. And I'm like addicted. I just want to do it all the time. I bought some tarot cards not that long ago, and I'm like, I want to learn how to do this. And I will say it's been really hard to do it on myself.
It is. It is.
Like I'm really confused, but I've done it on Marissa from far away, from my cousin far away. I told her the other day, I'm like, it didn't work for me. I said, but I did it on you. And she's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. It's just practice, honestly, because even to this day, like for me, like I've learned when I do readings on myself, I can't do like whole readings. I do like really small readings and like I'll pull a card for the day, things like that. Or like when I do, yeah, I try not to go too intricate. And I'm like, if I get a card and I'm just like, I don't, what the hell does this mean? Then I'll like pull a second card for, clarification. And then I find that to be helpful, but I never, I'm just confused. I forget all meaning of any card, and I'm just like, what does that mean? I don't get it. It's just so
Yeah.
bad.
Have you
It's
ever had
bad.
a reading, Corinne?
I've had tarot readings, yeah. I actually want to learn. I wanted to ask you how you learn, Lena, because
How I learned.
yeah.
I have a mentor, Isla. She works at Mystic Flora. She's literally amazing. I can send you her Instagram.
Okay.
So she takes mentees and stuff like that, and she's been guiding me through like everything. I went to her. God, it feels like a while now, like 8 months ago, and I went to her for a reading.
But you didn't
And
know her before, or is that the
no,
first time you met her? Oh,
the first time better. Yeah, and I went to her and I was just like I was in a really bad abusive relationship before, and I like currently can't stand my 9 to 5. And I was just like so confused. I was in like a really dark place as far as like what the fuck do I do with my life? And it was funny because in my reading she's like she was like reading all these things and she was kind of confused, and I was like, what's like, okay, like if you're confused, I'm confused, like what's going on? She's like it's like pretty much telling me, she's like, you're worried about all the wrong things right now. And I was like, what does that even mean? She's like, don't worry about your relationship, don't worry about like, you actually are not being pulled to like focus on either one of those things. And she pretty much broke it down that like I was utilizing my relationship and my career as a distraction for the inner work that I needed to do. And I was like, oh well, damn. And so ever since then, like I've been to her 2 more times after that. And then I was like, hey, like I want a mentor and I don't know where to start. She told me about her program and I was like, sign me up, coach. So I've been working with her ever since then. And she's the one who's been like teaching me about tarot, what to do. I don't know if you've gone to tea and tarot yet, Gabby, on Sundays at Mystic Flora. A great opportunity. That's what I started doing. I bought my first deck. I bought my little first deck, and
What deck did you buy?
I don't even know. Honestly, it was funny because I felt bad because I didn't like trust my intuition. I was just like, I want a simple deck. I don't want anything crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like so beat up. Don't make fun of her. But this is my baby. It's just a simple,
Yeah.
I don't even know, classic design. And she's been like,
I
it was
got
funny
these.
because,
Huh?
Oh, those
my
are
God,
beautiful, Gabby.
damn girl, you got fancy.
I just got them on what's it? Etsy? Etsy?
Oh, how's the pictures? Let me see the pictures. Are they classic design or are they like special? A little bit of both. Okay, so pretty, dear God.
Yeah, they're really, really pretty. I had got another one, but it didn't come with like the little book.
Oh.
And so I found myself Googling every single freaking picture because I was like, what the hell does this mean? I don't even know what this means. Like, how do I know what I'm looking at? So I had to Google and then go back and Google, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm getting one that has a little book that comes with instructions on how to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I think my daughter has gotten into it, and she's my younger daughter. She's like, can you read me the cards? Can you tell me if I'm gonna pass fifth
love that.
grade? She's like, can you tell me if I'm gonna pass 5th grade?
Oh, that is so precious. I love
My
that.
older daughter, Viviana, wanted to do a tarot reading. We actually went to Isla, and she wanted to do a tarot reading and to do a walk-in. And we got there and she changed her mind. She's like, no, I don't want to after all. I'm like, what happened? She's like, Mommy, I don't want to be humbled. She's like, I know what I want in my life. And she's like, I don't want to be humbled by them, the cards telling me that it's not going to be what I want.
Yeah. 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 Even with that, I know like one of my friends, she's super Christian. So like everything about what I do is like witchcraft, it's bad, it's negative. And I'm like, dude, just like chill out, you know? And even like when I tell her like you should do shadow work. She's like, no, I don't want to do anything with shadows. That's demonic. And I'm like, girl, like, girl, all it is
something
like,
else then.
like, yeah. Oh my God. It's super funny. And when the reason I bring her up is just because like, it's just, you know, she wants me to do a tarot reading, but she's like, no, but I don't want to because that's like, you're using the devil to tell you. And I'm like, what do you think goes
Where do you
on?
get that from? I don't understand where people get that from.
I don't,
I don't either, because it has nothing to do with the devil. We do not, like, when they do say the prayer for the tarot reading, it's like spirit guides, angels,
Yeah.
ancestors, like the devil is not summoned for these.
Yeah. At all.
it's so funny. And you know, it's funny. Sorry, just to go back to like astrology.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. So one of the things that like has always happened my whole life, and Isla actually brought this up to me when you mentioned her. We were talking about it the other day because I have always had this like repeated, but I've always had this thing in my life where I've had this repeated cycle of having Aquarius energy in my life, whether they were Aquariuses, whether they had Aquarius placements in their chart. They've always been like attracted to me. They've always gravitated towards me, or me, I just naturally am like, oh, you look dope. I love you. Can we be friends? And it's always been like, Isla like questioned me. She's like, you know what? What's in your 12th house? And I was like, my 12th house. Like, I was like, I don't know by heart. Like I have to look into it. She's like, well, just go really quick. Go look. And I went to go look and I was like, well, it says Aquarius is in my 12th house. And she's like, oh my God. I was like, I don't get it. What does that mean? I don't know. And she's like, that's your karmic relationships. And I was like, I don't get it. What does that mean? You know? And then she's like, no, she's like, that means that this lifetime, your purpose is to find out and to integrate like the healthy version of Aquarius and also the unhealthy version of Aquarius, like being aloof, being detached, being emotionally like unavailable, like learning what that looks like and learning how to maneuver like the good parts of it, of, you know, being a humanitarian, looking at the greater good of all people, and like not being judgmental, and like just balancing that out in my life with different people and different souls. And it's funny because, you know, yeah, like even Isla's an Aquarius rising. So like her being in my life, I'm like, of course you would be in my fucking life, you know? Of course.
That's
Of
interesting
course.
because that's who I have, I think, the most difficult time with is Aquarius. I remember looking into something and saying the most difficult relationships will be with an Aquarius and a Leo. And two of my best friends, they live far away, but they're both Pisces. They're both Pisces. They're both in March and they're both Pisces.
I love that. That's so cute.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of Virgo. So the opposite of Virgo is Pisces. And then you're Scorpio. So Scorpio and Pisces, that's like magic. Oh, you guys feed off each other. Yeah, it's super nice. Yeah. When I first got into when I first started seeing Isla, like I don't know. I have to be honest, the last 6 months have been like super crazy because I was doing all these birth charts for so many people all for free. And then one day, you know, Isla was like, why do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I don't know who's into this stuff, you know? And then she told me because of my human design. And she's like, you got to stop doing that because you're putting out
exchange.
exactly. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, for the first the first couple months, it was like so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable to like, what do I do? Like, I don't know how to do that.
But as you did it, you got more comfortable.
Yeah. And that's where the magic happens, is you have to get uncomfortable first, right?
God. And
were you like, I can get paid for doing things that I love to do?
Yeah, it was definitely huge. Like, and then I started getting clients and like people wanted to come to me. And a lot of them were people I already knew. And they were like, yeah, well, I see what you're doing. So I just thought I'd come to you. And I'm like, what? To me? Why? Like,
yeah.
And it was, and then it just ended up because now it's just like this big thing now. And now I just, you know, I've been getting clients and Gabby, you're one of my clients who like turned into my friend. Like it's just, and you meet like-minded people. So like even, you know, I only have one male client, and my one male client has been like, he always comes back. He always talks to me about everything. And like, it's very
One that
interesting.
didn't want to learn, the one that didn't want to learn about his chart.
He didn't care. And then when I told him all these things about himself, and he's just like, there's no way that this isn't real when you just told me everything about myself. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all
That's
about being open-minded, right? And just being open to receiving, learning, you know, like nothing bad. That's what I think is like nothing bad is going to come of it. So why would it hurt you to just give it a chance? Not like nothing bad's going to happen if you listen to somebody tell you your birth chart. The worst that can happen is like, oh, it doesn't really align, and that's it, you know?
right.
And
And
even
most
with,
of the time that's not gonna happen.
right?
Yeah.
And even with that, it's so funny because I know a lot of people, they'll be like, yeah, like, oh, I'm a Gemini, but like I don't even relate to anything like that. And I'm like, huh, really? And then like, oh, do you know what time you were born? Like, do you know where you were born? And then I'll look up their birth chart. I'm like, you're not even a real Gemini. Like, you're a Sagittarius or whatever it is. You know?
That's where I was kind of
Right.
baffled, was that I was like, oh, like this whole time I'm like, and it's funny because for the longest time I'm a Scorpio, but I didn't really like align with a lot of the Scorpio things. You know, there was definitely some things, but I didn't align with everything. There was a lot of like Sagittarius I felt that I was more like, you know, because I'm on the cusp. I'm on the last day of Scorpio. So there was a lot of things that I felt that I was more Sagittarius. And then when you finally read me the birth chart, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So I'm not really just Scorpio. I'm all these other things, but combined with Scorpio. So yeah.
Even like reading your chart really quick, it's like, it's because I have my book open, and since I'm with you, I'm like looking at it. It's just like Virgo, 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 and then you have like a Capricorn rising. It's like the most earthly water sign I've ever seen in my life. With a little bit of
Capricorn
fire.
rising too.
You said what?
I'm a Capricorn rising too, and I'm an
Oh,
Aquarius moon and a Taurus sun.
oh my God. Are you really? I love Aquarius moons. Aquarius moons are so not judgmental. They're so like, I just feel like they feel like warm hugs, you know? And like without like being like too overly attached or like, oh my God, let me baby you. They're just like, no, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. My best
Right.
friend has an Aquarius moon. I love her energy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember you told me my birth chart was, just remember on the call, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Your birth chart's just like you said, you went down the rabbit hole with it.
I did. And it's funny because I'm even like looking at it. It's like 3 pages just for you. And then I have like my other client, it's just like 1 page. Like just wrote it down. It's because and the thing is, that's what's really fun about reading birth charts, because it's like, dude, like just seeing all their like and especially like whenever you look at someone's birth chart, like you have to integrate nature versus nurture, right? Like, you know, for instance, like I'm a Cancer moon, which is very like homebody, loving, nurturing, all these things that I grew up in an environment where I didn't have a lot of those things. Those needs weren't met. So like I learned that I had to become something else. You know, I had to force myself to not embody that. And like when I look at other people's charts and I'm like, how the hell? I was like, what is that? A moon in Sagittarius and a Mars in Virgo? That's like, I want to be free, but I want it to be organized. Like I just like what?
Yeah.
Like I'm confused. And then you have the Capricorn rising because you're like business orientated. I need to be perfect. But then you have like your Sagittarius moon that's like, fuck it, just do it anyways. You know? And it's like, whoa, it's really fun. It's really fun. So I remember I had like a list of questions for you, Gabby.
Yeah, I remember you're like, I
Like,
want to know this. I want to know that. And I was like,
how do you do this? Yeah. I think the funniest one was like, do you have stomach issues? I remember when I
yeah.
asked you,
And
and you were like,
that's
what?
when you were talking about that earlier. I remember that came to my mind because I was like, yeah, I've actually been dealing with diverticulitis and colitis for the last year or two, you know, lots of intestinal issues. So it was really interesting that you brought that up.
I'm telling you, birth charts, they just tell you everything. They literally
Yeah,
can
they
tell
really
you.
do. And you know, it was very much aligned with my human design. That's what I noticed. It was like if you put them together, they will match. They will match because a lot of things that you said I had already heard from having a human design reading in the past. So it just, like I said, it just validated everything I already knew and everything I had been told by human design. And now this, it's just like, there's just no way that all these things can say the same thing and it not be true, you know?
Right. Yeah. That's super. I love that for you. I definitely, yeah. Yeah, I've had when I had my birth chart read, it felt really good. And for myself, because I'm a Virgo, I critique myself really harsh. So when I read my birth chart, I was just like, oh, that sucks. Like, oh, you're a piping right. Oh, you weenie, you're a crybaby, you know? But like, and then when someone else read my birth chart, they're like, oh my God, you're like really into like the medical physical world. You're really into the occult. You're like really magical. And I'm like, you know what? I am all those things, you know?
Yeah.
You have such a contagious personality. Like you just, like for me, when I went to Mystic Flora and met you and Isla and Nicole, Nicole is more like, I don't know, her vibe, her energy's more like calm and like just makes you feel like peaceful, you know, and you're more like up here and so is Isla, you know, Isla always like there was just something about you guys that I was like, I need to have more of these people because there's just something about them that is pulling me. And I found out, oh, you do astrology and you know, tarot or whatever. So, and
Yeah.
I've seen Isla twice.
Yeah.
She is amazing. I don't think she's from this planet.
Oh
I
my God.
like
Tell her that.
she just knows like, you know, so much. And she keeps telling me like that when I've come to my sessions with her, like she just keeps telling me like, oh my gosh, because we were I think she was doing a prayer to like open the session. And I was like, that's so weird. I was like, at the end of the set of the prayer, I saw like a wolf, you know, and an eagle. And she was like, oh my gosh. She's like, you are so ready for this. She's like, you are like open and receptive. And we looked up with the wolf men and with the eagle men, and it's just crazy, you know, that these like you said, these downloads come to you, and I don't know where they came from. I've wolf? Are you kidding me? I've always been scared of wolves. I'm not, you know, it's never been something that's been a staple in my life, and neither has an eagle. So I didn't know where that came from. And then when I looked it up, I was like, oh, okay, you know, a wolf is like the head of their pack. Like they're very nurturing. You know, I'm kind of like you guys said before, like you take on everything, you know, you're gonna protect your pups. You're very nurturing. And an eagle is free, wants freedom, wants to be free, wants to fly all over and be free, solitude or whatever. So it really, really aligned. And I was like, that's interesting, you know, but I had to go with Isla to sit there with her in order for me to learn that, you know, that had never come to me on my own. So she's
Yeah.
just a very magical person.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I recommend doing with her is energy work. Wild. That shit's wild. Like
Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. We did some theta healing
yeah.
the last time I was there. And I mean, I just started. I've only gone with her twice, but I'm seeing her on a monthly basis. I'm just open to everything. I want to try everything. It like just excites me to, there's just so much out there. I've talked to Corinne about this before. Like there's so much more out there than just EFT, hypnosis, and neural energetic encoding, all these things I've learned, but there's just so much more out that I want to try everything. You know, I want to try everything.
Yeah. And you know, another thing too that's like really important. It's also like finding people that like align with your spirit too. Like if you find those people that are calling, like follow that. You know, because you know, I've been in like the spiritual realm for like a while. Like I used to go to a lot of like cacao ceremonies and things like that. And I have to be really honest, like, you know, I loved, she was my friend, you know, she was my friend and I loved her a lot. And you know, well, she initially was like my eyebrow lady, and then she told me about these things and like, you know, and how she hosted them, and I would go to them, and you know, she would always tell me like, you have gifts, and I'd be like, ah, whatever, you know. And she'd be like, no, like you have this power, you have this essence, like people are drawn, like, you know. And I was just like, whatever. And it wasn't until like, you know, honestly, Nicole, I always tell Nicole this, and like, Nicole saved my life. Like, she saved me, and she's barely starting to get in touch with her intuitive gifts, but like my pull to be in her life, because I just was like, something's telling me to be her friend, and like all this stuff has just like blossomed into this beautiful thing, you know, and just like following that pull, you know. And I think that's like super important. You know, if you feel a pull to like go with someone, meet with someone, talk with someone, see someone for a reading, go do it. Follow that pull.
Like just follow. That's what I've learned. I think this year, the one I was just going over like my list of Sahara Rose had a post a couple days ago where she was kind of had journal prompts for like have you learned in 2023? What here, I'll read it to you guys. Like the prompts, what it said. I think it said the first one was 2023. What is the biggest lesson I learned in 2023? The next one was what from 2023 am I most proud of and why? What is the biggest shift that took place in 2023? And then what am I looking forward in 2024? Just all these prompts. And I was really sitting and I took my time. I took a couple days to just think about these questions and because I'm like, gosh, I don't feel like I really learned much in 2023. And then when I sat with my coach and talked to her, and she's like, what do you mean you haven't learned? She's like, let's go back a year. Let's see where you were a year ago. She's like, since then, you've became a life coach. You know, you've learned all these modalities, all these techniques. You've learned how to do, you know, how to rewire your brain. You've learned how to help others rewire their brain. You've learned hypnosis. You've learned EFT. You've learned anchoring. You've learned, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I have learned some things, you know?
Oh my
Um,
God.
She's like,
Right.
she's like, you've just totally evolved. She's like, just because the change has not been like a big transformation doesn't mean there hasn't been any change. She's like, think about the people you surround yourself with now. Think about what your social media looks like now. She's like, what it used to look like last year, you know? Because what I did was I really got rid of a lot of famous people and like Kim Kardashian, like all of them, you know, I kind of got rid of all of that and I only follow people that are going to help me grow or that I look up to, you know. And she's like, think about that and think about how much you now really sit and like you told me this too, just really follow your intuition. When you wake up in the morning, and I'm never going to forget this, Lina, you told me, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what do I want to wear today? What do I want to do today? What do I want to eat? You know, and just allow your body to guide you and do whatever it's pulling you to do. For the longest time, remember, I was telling you that I wanted to drink tea. I wanted to drink tea and I never drank tea. I just served myself coffee. Well, this whole week I've been drinking green tea. You know, I'm just like, that's what I
Yeah.
want. I don't have the one day my sister's husband made me coffee. I got nauseous after the second sip. I got nauseous. I felt like throwing up all day. And I remember thinking, shit, man, I should have listened to my gut. It was telling me to just drink tea. And what did I do? He had made me the coffee. So I'm like, I'm just going to drink it. I don't want to waste it, you know, and I drank it and I felt nauseous. So then I stopped. I'm like, I'm not drinking. I've been drinking tea every day. Just those little things that have really
Dude.
make a huge difference in the way I feel, in what you know, the way I think, everything, just listening to my intuition a lot more. And that, like you said, that feeling, that intuition gets stronger and stronger by the day, you know, because you're just listening to where you're being navigated.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
And I feel
Nicole is just, you know, listening to her speak is my favorite. So listening to her say, like,
uh,
um, this is the girl, Corinne, that I told you that she lost her fiance 6 months ago or 7 months ago now. And she just like went head first into grief and has just learned to be friends with grief. And listening to her say that, I was like, what do you mean you're going to be friends with grief? Like, how do you do that? You know? And just seeing her on social media, she has this like aura where she's just almost like angelic, you know?
yeah.
Like just like this magic about her, almost like just listening to her speak brings me so much peace and brings me like comfort. It's really weird. I can't explain it, but yeah, just something about her makes me feel like, you know, like just calm. And it's amazing. It's amazing to have somebody like that. And you're lucky to have her as your best friend in your life.
Yeah, it's God, honestly, dude, it's truly a blessing. And like if I get emotional, just honestly, it sounds so weird, but like a little bit behind me and her. So we were friends, you know. I've known her since I was like 18 years old. So she's seen a lot of my faces. And but we were never like besties. We were just like, oh, like, you know, my one of my best friends is her best friend. And you know, my best friend Jessica, like she's, you know, in a real serious relationship now. She's like, you know, doing things with her partner, and she's like, you know, she spread her wings. And you know, me and Nicole like never hung out or anything like that. And well, I think it was like 7 months ago now. Like they were like, hey, do you want to go to Jazz's funeral? Her husband, her fiance. She's like, do you want to go, you know, to his funeral? I was like, no. I was like, I can't go. I can't. And they're like, and then they invited me like, oh, do you want to go to the viewing? Like, no. Like, hey, do you want to do? I was like, no, I can't do it. I was like, I can't. And then I was going through my own depression. There was a lot of stuff going on with me. And I just remember like spirit, I kept getting this thing where like anytime you receive a message to go tell them, whoever it is, doesn't matter, friend or foe, go tell them. So like little by little, I just started listening to it, like just telling people the messages that I was receiving. And one of the message was to Nicole. I saw a post of her on Instagram, and I was just like, it was just like, tell her that she needs to be like Jay Shetty with this whole funeral thing. Like she needs to like put everything out there. She needs to put her healing out there. That's what she needs to do. And I was just like, no, like I don't even talk to her like that. Like what the fuck? And then it was like this huge battle in my head for like 10, 15 minutes. Like just tell her, no, do it. No. What do I say? No. Like it was just this huge inner dialogue. And I was like, okay, fuck it. So I like grabbed my phone like aggressively, and I was like, you should be like, I was like, this is gonna be so weird, this is so random, but I just feel like you need to share your story because I feel like you're gonna be the next Jay Shetty. And I just remember like, you know, she's like, we were just like, hey, like, do you have time to talk? And I was like, yeah. And then we ended up having a conversation. I was like, I just have this feeling to tell you. And then she's like, you know, she's like, wow, like thank you, I really appreciate that. She's like, I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing half the time, especially with like losing my fiance. And then she had a meeting with Isla, and 15 minutes later, Isla told her the exact same thing that I told her. The exact same thing. Like you need to use your voice, your throat chakra, let it out. Pretty much told her like you're gonna be on this like expedited healing journey by like sharing this story and how you're healing. And now, you know, now she's doing it big. She's got clients now, like she's helping people, she's sharing her story, her voice. And it's just been like, and she helps me so much every day with that Aquarius moon. Like bro, it's really nice because I'm super emotional, and I'm, you know, I don't need someone to hold my hand or like baby me, you know, I just need someone to hear me. And she offers that, and she's so comforting, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah.
she's just I don't know. I can't explain it. There's just something about her. There's just something about her that's just like, wow, like maybe it's her authenticity, you know? I don't know, but she just like you
She's
hear
so
her speak and you know she's like she's speaking from the heart, you know. She's speaking pure authenticity. And yeah, there's just like I said, there's just like this angelic aura about her that makes me want to be around her, you know, because she just has this thing like, and I haven't even spoken to her much, very little, you know. But when we went to that women's circle where you guys were speaking at, I think it was about alchemizing grief. That's what it was. Yeah, she spoke and then she came over to me and she was talking to me. And just the way she spoke to me made me feel like I could just trust her in that moment. I could just share, like I could share anything I could, anything I wanted, and she was not going to judge me. That's what that felt like. And it's such
yeah.
an amazing feeling to feel that, because I don't even feel that way with a lot of my family members, you know?
Yeah.
So to be able to feel that from a complete stranger in like 30 minutes, you know, that I had just met her was, yeah, I left that place, and I left that place feeling like, wow, I think I like it here. I think I want to come back. I want more of this for sure.
Shout
And
out to Alchemy Babe 11.
yeah. Yeah, shout out to her. And I'm gonna have her. I told Corinne I wanted her to be a guest on the show. I already told her, so maybe next time we'll have her as a guest on here. Because I think that she has a lot to share, you know. A lot of wisdom. She carries a lot of wisdom.
She's a
What's
projector too.
her human design?
She's a projector too.
Oh, okay. I was like, she
What
sounds
is
like
with all these projectors around me?
It's nice though, because like we just need like a projectors. We have all this like knowledge and we don't know what to do with it, you know? So like I mean that's how I feel. So I feel like whenever I'm around like manifestors like or generators, like it's just like a sandwich. I don't know.
It's true. You guys do have a lot of information to share. Corinne, when I talk to her, I can talk to her for hours and she'll just be like, yeah, I'm getting into this and I'm doing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Corinne, you know, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? And yeah, there's definitely a pull on your guys' behalf for me, you know, to me, you know, you guys have this pull. So that's interesting. And do you know what Isla is?
She's a generator too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't ask me what their numbers are. I'm still learning here, guys. Whew.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on the curandera side of it, like what that does, what that helps with, who are the people that when people come to you looking for help with that, what does it consist of, and do they leave feeling healed? Do they have to come back several times? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
So are you like referring to like my egg cleanses and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So as far as like the egg cleanses, like that's something that I learned from my family. We did that. And then also like my family is very like gatekeeper-ish. So I had to do like a lot of stuff of like figuring it out on my own. But to be really honest, when it comes to egg cleanses, my goal is to teach my clients how to do it. To be honest, I don't want you codepending on me to do things like that, especially cleanses, whether it's with like sage, palo santo, copal, dragon's blood, whatever it is, egg cleanses. I want my clients to be able to utilize it and do it on their own eventually, right? If you need backup resources, I got you. But, you know, and I think for me, yeah, you're taking out the negative energy and taking it out. A lot of things that I've heard was, for me, when I do the cleanses, I can feel the energy, the different energies, where there's blockages, where there's pulls. I can feel it. It's really sticky. It's kind of hard. I usually have to like cleanse myself a couple of times after. I can feel usually on the back, I can feel when there's cord, like of someone leeching. I could also feel when there's like a protection aura. Eventually I want to learn how to do energy work. But you know, until then, like, you know, I'm just sticking to what I know. And, I've heard a lot of people say like they get chills or they get like tingly feelings as far as wherever the egg is on your arm, your chest, your throat. Cause I'm pretty like deep with it, you know? I've heard like you feel lighter. I've heard, you know, you feel like a refreshness. And you know, in the egg cleanses, you know, you can decide whether or not you'd like to send the negative energy back to the sender, or if you could just remove it, cut it clean, and you know, get rid of it. You know, everyone has their own perspective. I've had people like, you know, send the energy back with like the spiciest of spices. Like they're like, do you have something spicier than cayenne pepper? Let's throw some tapatio in there. And I'm like, okay, girl, like, okay, whatever, you know, to send it back. And then I had another male client of mine who just did a cleanse, and he's like, no, I don't want to send the negative energy back. He's like, even if they're sending it to me, like I just, you know, just want to cut it and take it off me. And he's like, why would I want to give it back to them? And I'm like, you know, fuck them, send that shit back. And he's like, nah. He's like, for what? Like, let him sit in that, you know? And I was like, okay. And I've had another woman that I did a cleanse for say, you know, that she didn't want to do it either. She's like, no, like, why double it back? Just, you know, let it go. And I was like, okay, that's, you know, it's humbling, you know? It's like, okay, rarely have I not sent the energy back. Rarely have I not done that, you know? But it's something that my family used to do to me, and they, you know, we grew up doing it, and no one really like taught each other how to do it. It was like very gatekeeper, like this is what the elder women do to the kids, to my other tias and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I want to fucking learn. Like, I want to learn how to do this shit. So I just like took it upon myself to like learn more details and just how to do it, how to read the egg cleanse, and you know, and yeah, and now they get to see me do it online, and they're just like, look at you know, it's fun.
Well, I think it's really cool. You have like all these different streams of income, right, that you could use, and on top of it you have your own job, your regular job, but these are things that bring you joy and that you enjoy doing, you know, and that you do well. So I think that that's awesome. And I'm excited to see what your future holds, where you go with this, you know, where it takes you. I think it's exciting. It's exciting to see. And I didn't even know that you had just started doing, like, if you, the way you did my reading, I had no idea that you had just started.
Yeah,
So
well, I've been doing it for
The tarot
years.
readings?
Yeah, I mean,
You're saying the tarot readings?
yeah, the tarot readings, everything, you know.
yeah.
I thought you had been doing this for like years, you know. I had no idea that this is all, you know, looking at how confident you are in your work and how much you know, how knowledgeable you are, I would have thought this is something, but I guess you have been doing it for a long time, just not paying clients, right?
No, yeah, never paying clients. I've done like a lot of Oracle stuff. I've been doing it for a good maybe like 5, 6 years, but I've never was paid for
That
it
makes
because I'm
sense.
like, no. And also like, you know, being mentored by Isla, just refining my skills, refining it, how to do things, how to integrate everything. I remember the first time Isla in my mentorship, she's like, do a reading on me. I was like, oh hell no. And then she's like, no, I just, you know, and I was just like, well, you know, I was like, do you want to ask something? And then she's like, no. And I was like, okay, so I don't have anything to go off here, you know? And then so I just remember I was like shaking. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And I remember I was pulling and I was just looking at all the cards. And I just remember when I was doing my reading, I was just like, look, I'm just going to shoot from the hip and I'm just going to say whatever is being downloaded. And then I was just, she's like, and I was just talking and saying all these things, and I was like, oh, I need a clarification card, so I pulled another card and I was like reading for her, and the whole time she was just like, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that face means. I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know, like, I don't, if I'm way off, like. And then I was like, and I remember one of the things I said, I was like, there's a Pisces energy in you, like around you, there's a male Pisces energy that's in your life. And that was the first time she's like, and I was like, whoever this Pisces energy is, you need to hang out with him more. I was like, there's something about him and you need to spend more time with him. And then I remember after I was like, okay. And then she's like, well, are you done? And I was like, I think so. I don't know. And then I remember she was just like, and she just like broke it down how everything I said was like spot on. And then she's like, the guy you're talking about is my partner who I've been with for 10 years. I was like, you have a partner? And she's like,
Wow.
yeah. And it was super validating. And like, even now I'm like getting chills. I'm like, oh God, you know?
Yeah, that's
And
awesome
then
that you have that confidence and that belief in yourself, you know? Send some this way. Send some this way, please.
girl, I try to teach you like I said, the little things that I've told you is like just how I've strengthened my own gift, you know, every day waking up in the morning, what is best in my alignment, like what suits me best, what do I need today, you know, like my outfits, like what color should I wear today, like why, you know. And I think about like you need to wear all black, girl, okay, you know. And I started learning like little things, like black is like the color of protection, green is abundance, red is like passion, you know. And you start picking up all these little things, and like, you know. And then I'm like, you know, you should wear red today, like why, you know, because you're feeling like you want to be seen today, like, oh, okay, you know. And all these little things, even the tea thing, like I quit drinking coffee a long time, I want to say maybe like in the beginning of the year, like maybe like April, I quit drinking coffee. And like, and then I come to find out that my IBS was like all because of freaking coffee and my daily drinking of coffee. And now I'm fine, you know? And I didn't think about it. And now like the nausea, spot on. The spot, like when you said nauseous, I was like, just start follow. Your intuition will tell you what to do. You just need to start listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that guidance. Thank you for being on the podcast. Corinne, do you have any questions
Yeah.
for her?
No, it's been great, Lena. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a reading. I want to get my chart read.
Yeah. Oh, so let everybody know where they can, what your
Yeah,
handle
where can we
is, where they
find
can,
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
where can they find you?
So my new Instagram is gonna be the scars we heal, literally just like that. And then I have my Candidly in there, so you can book a reading. In there you can do egg cleanses. Obviously those have to be in person. So if you're in the Bay Area, I'm down to meet up with you. I've done an egg cleanse in a park. That was fun. And then tarot readings, I'm willing to do them online or in person. I do work out of Mystic Flora in San Mateo, which is a really great experience. You get to buy stuff, look around, shop around, and just feel all these like great healing energies.
An awesome store.
That store has magical powers, like 100. And but yeah, the scars we heal once again.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and book your reading, guys. She's amazing. You will never, 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 never regret it. You know,
thank you.
The natal charts, I'm telling you, she's amazing. She's amazing. So thank you for being a guest on the podcast. We loved hearing you. We loved talking to you. As always, it's a pleasure. And this is like so down our alley. So it's gone by quick. It's gone by. And sending you all the good vibes for 2024, all the abundance for you and for you too, Corinne. Sending all of it to you too. Because I know you have good things simmering in this year coming up. So
I believe it.
I have no doubt that 2024 is going to be our rise.
Ooh,
rise. And still I rise.
Yes, baby. Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on here. And like I said, everybody go get your readings. Go.
Thank you.